What up, Steph? Don't forget to download the Odyssey app. Steph has the Odyssey app, obviously. He told Steiny Guru that Friday. He listens to Steiny Guru, 95.7 The Game, thousands of other stations, and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, podcasts all available completely free. You can catch every single Warriors game live on the app, along with all the music and news the Bay Area needs. Follow your favorite team station, radio shows, and podcasts now by downloading the free Odyssey app. Bobby Marks will join us in 11 minutes to talk about the salary cap, the new CBA, and everything else happening in the NBA. Of course, he's on ESPN. Bobby Marks, one of the best in the business when it comes to breaking down the money and some of the things with the CBA. We'll do that in 11 minutes, of course, and then we'll talk to Flem at 8 o'clock as we talk a little Giants. They lose 2 out of 3 in Yankee Stadium. We have some sound from Joey Bart that sounds a little depressing, no doubt about that, but the Warriors lose last night. 888-957-9570 is the phone number. It's the hotline. It's the text line as well, Comcast Business Text Line. And I asked the question she asked before the break. How are Warrior fans feeling this morning? Are they frustrated? Are they panicking about where they are in the standings? I think 405, this is perfect. I'm straight chilling. I think nobody minded that loss because of where they're at in the standings today and where they could end up in the standings. A lot of us here at Dub Nation do not want that 5 seed because that means you're playing the Phoenix Suns in the first round. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, they're undefeated so far when they play together. They're 6-0 on the season. But if you drop down to 6, you're playing a team without any playoff experience. Well, Kevin Huerter has some experience with Atlanta. Harrison Barnes has some experience. But the rest of that team, you know, Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox, this bonus, they haven't really tasted the playoffs. So a lot of people would rather play the Kings in the first round. So right now, if the playoffs started today, Warriors would play the Kings. However, the Lakers, they've got a couple games to make up. So I get the sense from Dub Nation, and I got the sense last night that nobody's really going crazy over the loss last night.
No. I actually, well, as you and I were kind of discussing over the break, the loss last night stinks in terms of just like, I want to feel good and I want them to win and play better, just play better. Mm-hmm. But like the reality is I don't want to face Kevin Durant and the Suns in the first round. So I would like to try to thread the needle and not get that 5 spot or even that 4 spot just to avoid them.
Right.
But it feels like to me, like the biggest thing that happened over the weekend was this collective bargaining thing, for the Warriors. Not necessarily for this year. I'm talking about moving forward.
Yeah. Screws them. Screws them.
It limits the amount of ways they can make their team continue to be competitive. It's not about just making it better. It's about retaining the talent that they still have and being able to have the flexibility to maneuver like the other teams. And I feel like they're being punished because they've decided to draft, develop, cultivate, and keep their own. And it really, really bugs me. The Clippers are the other team that's getting kind of crushed when it comes to the finances here. But think about how the Clippers were put together. Yeah,
free agency trades. There wasn't not a homegrown talent there.
Forced sign-in trades.
Right.
And then they traded away a zillion draft picks.
Right.
We can make arguments about how the Warriors have done things unique, but at its core, they have drafted and developed their own.
Steph, Clay, Dre, Looney, Poole.
Okay. Steph's on his 4th contract, I believe.
Had the first one, second one, maybe his 3rd contract.
Okay.
Maybe his 3rd. Clay's contract, 2nd contract. You had the 2nd contract.
Clay
with
is absolutely on his 3rd.
Yeah.
Draymond's on his 3rd. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Whatever, 3rd, 4th contract,
but with
whatever
this team,
it is.
no, but that matters because I look at someone like Kawhi. He got the 1 extension with the San Antonio Spurs. The 3rd one that he got was with the 3rd team. You know what I mean? So I think that does matter. Like Jordan Poole, drafted and developed late in the first round. You want to retain that player. He becomes a very good player. Under these types of rules, it would be so penal for them to keep someone who they drafted late, like a Jordan Poole. It would almost force their hand into trading him when his salary slot is super, super low and you're getting pennies on the dollar.
Well, you also revitalized Andrew Wiggins, which you should get credit for. You bring in Andrew Wiggins, who nobody in the league wanted. Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesota was so desperate to move off of Andrew Wiggins, they threw in a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. They almost threw in 2 first-round picks to get rid of Andrew Wiggins. So you rejuvenate him. You find Gary Payton II on the scrap heap, you get him paid. Mm-hmm. You find him on a cheap deal, 2-way deal. You sign him to the roster, and yet you're paying taxes. I mean, it's a screwed up deal, I think, for the players. I think they rushed into this deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think the owners, they're going to, especially the mid-level, the mid to like low-budget owners who are like, yes, there's not going to be any cap. And so I guess what Adam Silver's trying to do is build more parity. But how's parity been this year? How's parity been this year for the league?
Think it's about parity. I think it's about keeping costs down. The number one cost for them are the player salaries. So if they can prohibit teams at the top end from spending more money, that limits the amount of teams that are able to spend, and that limits the amount of options for the mid-level players. Like that's really this is what it's at. B. It's about suppressing salaries.
Well, that's a shame because the players generate the revenue.
No, they're the product.
The players
are the product.
Without the players, your league's nothing.
They're the product.
Right. So I
agree with you. Well, it's really disturbing.
I was just shocked that this deal got done so quickly. And Adam Silver, I was like, man, these guys are light years apart when it comes to the CBA. And Silver had
Who's negotiating on behalf of the players?
CJ McCollum, I guess Grant Williams, other lawyers. We're going to find out from Bobby Marks because Draymond Green was not happy. Now, I heard from CJ McCollum, I think it was Saturday after the Pelicans beat the Clippers, and he was just like, look, everybody's got my number. There's 450 players. They could come talk to me. So were some players rejecting the fact that they could have gone to meetings? I don't know how this went down. But I thought they just rushed into it. Why not just wait?
I guess at my core, Monte, I'm a huge capitalist, and I believe that, if I want to run, now I understand there's a bigger business model that we're all working within, but if I want to run my team my way and I want to spend that money, that should be, obviously there should be some rules put in place, but I feel like the Warriors in particular are being punished over the top for doing it the quote unquote right way.
I agree.
Let's take a step back. Signing Kevin Durant, everyone lost their minds. They signed Steph Curry to one of the greatest deals of all time, and he ended up turning into one of the greatest players of all time. They got Draymond and Klay Thompson to take less money, slightly less money, and then they offered Harrison Barnes an extension. He didn't take it. Kevin Durant comes. I feel like because of that whole sequence right there and the CBA exploding in that same year because of the television deal, they're now being retroactively punished moving forward.
Right. Yeah, and the Kevin Durant deal was an all-time classic, but you also drafted Draymond Green in the second round. You don't get credit for that? For finding a talent in the second round, developing? I don't know. I'm just, personally, I think I'm more outraged about the midseason tournament.
Really?
Who watched this?
I don't know.
The play-in is one thing, and the play-in is created
Actually, I think it's been fun.
It's been okay. The play-in's been okay.
Okay, I would say it's been fun. It's a fun addition.
To me, it's what's wrong with the top 8? And right now, this week, you would have a race from the A seed, right? You'd have the Timberwolves, you had the Thunder, you had the Pelicans, you got the Lakers, all battling to stay out that A spot, or maybe getting that A spot. For me, the play-in just screams NIT. And it gives a lot of teams.
Okay, I hear you.
It gives a lot of teams chances to rest their stars, to load manage. And to me, the play-in has just created this false, hype where it's like, oh, the play-in tournament. Oh, here we go. You're going to play in to see who makes the play. To me, it's a joke.
Okay.
The play-in is a joke, and now you add the midseason tournament, which is even a bigger joke.
Well, the midseason tournament, I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish. Here's the question that I'd ask Adam Silver. Did you create this midseason tournament for a streaming partner that you're trying to partner up with? Yeah. Because I know that the MLS, when they signed on with Apple Plus, Bonte, they added playoff rounds because that's what Apple Plus demanded. Is one of these partners NBC, who's potentially going to be signing back on with the NBA, ESPN? Did one of them demand certain products that they could sell for advertisements? That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of with SF Bay Drummer here. Having the G Leaguers play in the play-in tournament, I think that's going to happen. Could you imagine Steph and Dre and Clay? Or any star playing in that, risking injury
and getting
for a
hurt.
midseason tournament.
We're losing our minds over the nationalism and everyone representing their flag because Altuve got hit in the arm and now he's going to be out for 6 months or whatever it is, 4 months.
4 to 6 weeks?
Oh, 4 to 6 weeks, exactly.
Is it 4 months? I was good.
No. I screwed that up. But you're right. People will lose their mind. One hurt ankle, torn ACL, people are going to lose their minds. For who, for what?
Yeah, for a midseason tournament. We can smoke cigars to it. So, again, some of the cliff notes here. For anybody wondering, the NBA and NBA. Actually, let's go to Bud real quick. We'll go to Bud real quick. He's on hold.
Hey, Bud.
Let's get to Bud. Bud, what's happening? You're on the roast.
What's good? What's good? How y'all doing, baby?
Good, man. Good.
So listen, man. I'm with you, Vontae. I'm not a big fan of that play, and I never liked it. I don't like it. It screams sorriness to me. The only person who was advocating for the play-in was LeBron because it saved him. He hasn't gotten anything since the play-in or whatever that pandemic tournament, whatever it is they won.
The bubble ring.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, the NBA just needs to leave something alone. It's authentic, it's organic. You know what I mean? And they want to try to put things in there that has nothing to do with it. And to me, it's like a disrespect to the greats. You think all the greats who played the game before these guys to make the game what it is and to get it what it is. Now, that being said, there's always going to be guys coming in and revolutionizing it. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Steph, Iverson, you know what I mean? And I'm not leaving none out. Bird, John Stockton, Nash. But the in-season tournament, what is that supposed to do for the guys who's playing for the bigger thing at hand, which is the NBA Finals? Now, you guys saving these other teams by giving them a play-in. So, yeah, that has become fun. So I can still agree with you that on there too, Shesky. That has become fun to watch and see these guys try to battle it out and say, "Ooh, you got one last chance to try to make it." So it has become fun, but just leave the game alone, man. Let it be what it is. Let these guys play in-season tournament. It sounds sorry, and I don't like it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, bud. It's a good point there. By the way, the NBA and NBPA, National Basketball Players Association, agreed to eliminate restrictions that limited a team to 2 designated Supermax contract players on a roster. Teams weren't allowed to trade for a third Supermax player or sign one to a rookie extension. This rule could have a near-term impact on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have 2 designated Supermax contract players, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and burgeoning young star center Evan Mobley approaching his rookie extension. So there's a lot of tweaks and a lot of little nuggets here with the new CBA as we bring in Bobby Marks. Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider, cap expert for ESPN, has over 20 years of NBA experience, former assistant GM with the Brooklyn Nets. And Bobby, good morning. Welcome back to the Morning Roast. Ponte Hill, Joe Shadsky, the Butcher, and the new CBA, a new 7-year deal between the NBA and NBPA. Right off the front end, when you looked at this deal, did the players lose out in this new CBA? Did they get holes, Bobby, from your first look at the new CBA?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, we haven't even gotten the term sheet yet. So a lot of the information out there is kind of piecemeal and things here. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, anytime that there's growth to the salary cap, that, player salary increases, where there's more job opportunities, where they add, another two-way contract, a third, now you can invest in, whether it be NBA teams or WNBA or sports betting or cannabis, from a business perspective. No, I heard Draymond's thing. I mean, I think Draymond was reacting off like 2 tidbits of what was being reported here. But I think when you look at the whole scope of it, I mean, everything with this CBA got better, I believe. Yeah. I mean, there's teams that if you spend a lot of money, like Golden State in the future, I mean, not right now, you won't feel the pain. You're going to be penalized, or you're going to have some restrictions here. But I think it helps. Certainly the focus is on the middle class here. The mid-level exceptions increase, significantly here. I mean, the taxpayer mid-level will go away if you're one of these teams that spend. But on average, I think three were used per year. So it wasn't like it was a resource that was utilized a lot here. So no, I don't. I mean, listen, where both sides were, if the players think they got hosed, they could have been looking at a long lockout with a hard cap. I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, that was the first, negotiating position from the league's perspective is implementing a hard cap, where you would have forced teams to pick and choose as far as what players they should keep. Salaries would have been probably, reduced significantly here. So, the term sheet will come out probably midweek. We'll dive into it deeper, as it goes here. But no, this is part of, it's basically an amendment of the 2000 CBA. I mean, that's how I look at it. The rules are not overhauled. The system was never broken, but I think there were some things that needed to be kind of cleaned up.
Okay, let's start with the Golden State Warriors because that's what a lot of fans really care about here. It just feel like it's overly penal to the teams that are super high into the tax, and it's restricting the amount of options you have to maintain your current team and the options that you have to kind of move pieces around that you have currently, while also being penal to a team that didn't trade for all these players. They drafted and developed their own. It's frustrating, I think, for Warrior fans this morning. Do you think that they have every right to be frustrated?
Well, I mean, the rules, the punitive rules aren't going to come into effect for another few years. So it's not like it's going to start right off the sudden, starting July 1st. I mean, there's going to be a phase-in period here where, whether it be a year from now or 2 years from now, with the tax brackets being adjusted here, or the second apron here. I mean, they're not telling you that you can't keep Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, that group. They're not. The league isn't telling you that. They're basically saying, like, okay, you spent this much. Now there is going to be some restrictions here. Now you will not have the taxpayer mid-level to go out and sign a player. Now you won't be able to go out and use the 125% trade exception to acquire a player and take back $6 or $7 million additional. You can still go out and make trades. The likelihood is that's probably going to have to be dollar for dollar here. So it's probably fair for 28 teams, and I think 2 teams probably get impacted a little bit here. But the goal is that as I said, the league will phase in these rules to get your house in order, right? To get your finances in order, get your roster in order.
See, now that's where can we stop right there, Bobby? No, and I appreciate you're on. That, to me, my interpretation of this is to lock in the salaries at a lower rate so they can increase profitability. That's my interpretation of this, given where inflation's going, given where revenue streams are going with a third partner coming in as a big national TV partner. This feels like, to me, an artificial way to keep these salaries down, locked in place, to create more positive books at the bottom of the NBA for some of these smaller revenue teams.
No, I mean, I disagree. I mean, the salary cap's going to go up. I mean, as the salary cap goes up, so does player salary. I mean, everything's tied into everything. So if the salary cap in 2 years from now with the new, whatever revenue that's coming in from a new TV deal is going to, take a pretty nice, increase with salary cap, and that impacts everything. You're adding more revenue this year as far as with, from a licensing standpoint. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand that, you could say, like, it's kind of like a quasi hard cap. You're restricting players, but if you draft, you develop, you retain your players. There's no cap as far as what you can spend on your own players. The difference now is that some of the resources that you once had, the ability to go out and sign Dante DiVincenzo won't be there in the future. The ability to go out and acquire a $40 million player in a trade and sending $33 million back is not going to be there. So it's not, it's the other layer of things here. It's not going to be, you're not going to get a point where, 4 or 5 years from now, you're going to say, you know what, we can't keep Jordan Poole. If you want to keep Jordan Poole, you can keep Jordan Poole. It's just a matter of kind of what you add to your roster. And what it's doing is it's policing yourself. I mean, if there was no league, there was no rules in place, teams would be trading 7 or 8 draft picks out. They would be spending at an exorbitant amount of picks here. So what happens is that teams can't police themselves here. Now the league has to step in and do it themselves.
Bobby Marks here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, NBA front office insider and cat expert for ESPN. All right, the midseason tournament. I'm probably more ticked off about this than anything. Whose idea was it? Why did the league push for this? The in-season tournament, which is going to, it's going to affect the standings in the regular season. They're going to play an 83rd game, could be at a neutral site in Las Vegas. I'm hearing that. Who pushed for the in-season tournament, and are you a fan of the in-season tournament, Bobby?
Well, I mean, I look at we're going to play 82 games one way or another, right?
Right.
So now you have an in-season tournament. The games still count towards the standings. The only difference is that you go, there'll be 4 teams that will play in Las Vegas in a Final Four in December, or there'll be 8 teams in a single elimination tournament here. So that's, it's not like we went from 82 games to 90 games.
Who pushed for it, though? Did the Silver push for it? Did TV push for it? Did were the players on board with this? Who pushed for the in-season tournament?
Both sides pushed for it. I mean, especially, we'll see if whatever the listen, 70% of the players in this league make below the average player salary. So I don't think $500,000 or $1 million or $1.5 million for each player is something to sneeze about. I don't know why people get worked up about the midseason tournament when there's all it is you're just playing another game. Another game that counts towards standings, but there's a little bit of a twist to it now.
So you think teams will hang banners from it? Like, that's my thing. Bobby, are we going to get champagne celebrations when a team wins the in-season tournament?
I don't think so. But I don't know why people get worked up over a mid-season tournament when it's impacting the standings as if it would be this year. Hey, if teams want to rest players and not play guys, then that's fine. They don't have to do it. And the teams that take it seriously. You can maybe earn some extra money here. Then you're not playing any more, additional games here except for that one.
It just felt like the league it needed to compress maybe the games, maybe shave it down from 82 to 72 instead of having to save about the games and. A tournament that fans are like, huh? What? This is kind of confusing here. When the regular season has a plethora of issues, it felt like an in-season tournament wasn't one of them. But we can move on with this one. We can move on with that one. All right, as you look at the league here, and you have the last week of the regular season, the Warriors right now in 6th place. I'm sure they wouldn't mind being in 6th, taking on the Sacramento Kings. Who right now is your favorite in the Western Conference? Is it the Denver Nuggets? Is it the Memphis Grizzlies? Or are you looking at the Lakers or some of the teams at the bottom of the standings?
Well, I think the hard part to make the argument for the Lakers is that they could be staring at Phoenix in round 1. That's they run the table this week. They're going to be looking at Phoenix in the first round. I mean, that's an awfully tough task, and then they got to get to Denver in round 2 here. So that's for either team, for the Phoenix and for the Lakers here. I mean, I think still, I know, certainly there's some warts with this Nuggets team. I think having home court advantage, playing in Denver, with that, they've proven that they are the best team during the regular season. They basically kind of led wire to wire here. I think for Memphis, for me, is where Steven Adams is going to be. Certainly without Brandon Clark, they lack significant size here. They'll probably shorten their rotation a little bit here. So I think it's as wide open as probably we've ever seen it, as far as there's probably not one dominant team. I think, certainly where these teams are come, 2 weeks from now from a health standpoint plays a big role. I mean, I wouldn't, certainly the youth factor, the inexperience factor, and we'll all be talking about Sacramento, but I mean, I lived through it in New Jersey in a long time ago in 2002, where outside of Jason Kidd, none of our guys had experience here, but we still wound up going to an NBA Finals. So yeah, I just think it's wide open. I think we'll see where with Golden State as far as where they finish. If they're at 6, I think it's probably a little bit of a easier road to go through if you have to go through Sacramento and then a winner of probably a Memphis, whoever the 7th seed is. I'd probably rather go that way than going through, LA or Phoenix and then Denver.
That Nets team that you were part of was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that team. I was always a Jason Kidd fan. On the Warriors, if Wiggins doesn't return, do you just cross them off the list of contenders, or do you think they've got a puncher's chance?
I don't think they can get to a conference finals without Andrew Wiggins. I don't think so. I don't. What I've seen, I mean, you guys see this team up close here. Unless there's another gear here and there's someone off the bench is going to kind of step up. It's hard for me to think that they can get to a conference finals with this group.
Is that one of those trader situations? Now we hope he's doing okay. Thoughts and prayers go with Andrew Wiggins, but he's missed 22 straight games, and really we don't know. It's not our business on why he's missing it, other than personal reasons, but. They are missing the key piece here. It's been an awkward situation. It's been a strange story to cover, Bobby. How strange has it been for you from afar?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a sensitivity issue. I mean, in the way the media works and social media, you would have thought something that would have, legitimate would have probably gone out, but it's been, they've done a really good job of it. And yeah, I mean, for a guy who was one of their best players last year, and that certainly in the playoffs and the NBA Finals here, to not have him since basically kind of mid-February, and we're a week away from this season ending here. Hopefully we hear more this week as far as what his availability will be here. But yeah, it is kind of one of the more unique situations that we've probably come across.
All right, Bobby, take care, man. Thank you for the time
thank you.
today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bobby.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider and cap expert for ESPN.
Sharp guy.
Very